region of Bellinzona in Switzerland. Hello and welcome to this live coverage of the fall of Alieu Kosiah's war crimes trial taking place here at the Federal Criminal Court. The built sound you're hearing is a sound of a nearby church. This is a very ancient city, of course, and is very close to the Italian border. My name is Anthony Stevens. Today, the fourth witness did testify in the war crimes trial of Alieu Kosiah. Kosiah is accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed allegedly during the First Liberian Civil War. One of the 7 people who accused him of those crimes did testify today. He said he's a construction worker, and primarily his testimony was about Kosiah's alleged activities in Pasalahun, a town in Lofa County. It's a region renowned with the Bandi people, known to be an area where many people who are bandits live. And he said this town was initially captured by MPFL forces. They did loot, they looted cattle, they looted oil, they looted other essential commodities in the town. But when MPFL left and when the town changed hands, when UNIMO captured the town, UNIMO did loot the entire town, including the generator. He said, according to him, up to the time that MPFL was there, the generator was operational. It had not been looted, but when UNIMO allegedly captured the town, they looted everything. They arrived there in the evening, and then up to the morning hours, they ordered that men should assemble themselves to be able to dismantle the generator. He said the generator was unscrewed. Those were his direct words, that the generator was unscrewed, it was dismantled. Kosiah allegedly told his soldiers that they should go to the town and take the generator out, and the men had come to tell the people. Initially they didn't want to go, and then they had threatened that if they resisted, there would be consequences. So everybody joined them, especially those men who had refused. They joined the soldiers, and they were able to have dismantled the generator and took the generator in parts to a nearby area. And while going, according to him, 2 of the people who had initially joined the delegation were killed by Kosiah's soldiers. And when they went further, another person was shot, according to him. Then the 4th person was shot just about the time he had entered Kolahun. And that was where he said the soldiers started saluting Kosiah, and he started calling Chief Kosiah, and Kosiah was standing dressed in a military uniform. And this witness said Kosiah apparently shot this guy because he said when the guy passed by Kosiah, he saw Kosiah with a pistol, and when he passed, the only thing he could hear was a sound. And when he looked back, he saw the guy's body on the ground. So he accused Kosiah directly of being the one who shot this person dead. Of course, he did talk about rape. He said people were raped, women were raped, children between the ages of 15, 16 were also raped, allegedly by Kosiah's soldiers. He also did say that people were forced into forced labor. People who had refused to take the looted items, including the generator, were intimidated, were threatened, so they had to do it against the will. He said he was one of those who did so. He said he fled after he had been helped by somebody identified as Kaba. Kaba helped him, so he fled. But other people who had resisted were ill-treated by Kosiah's soldiers. He said those people were very wicked people. He described them as wicked people. Asked whether Kosiah was present. He said Kosiah was commander for the entire Pasalahun area, so he allegedly gave that order for the soldiers to go and loot the generator. And when they got to the checkpoint, he said he saw 3 human skulls. Those skulls were seen at the checkpoint, and he was frightened, according to him, when he got there. But those other people that had been killed were people who were part of the initial delegation of people who the soldiers had authorized or had commanded to loot, to unscrew the generator and take it alone. Anybody who resisted, according to him, were threatened. He also did comment on the issue of child soldiers. He says child soldiers were seen between the ages of 9, 10, 14. He said those soldiers, it was very common that you could see child soldiers, especially from the two factions. He said he did see child soldiers from MPFL faction, but his testimony was primarily about accounts, he said, that happened on a Unimo town, during Unimo town. Kosiah's was on cross-examination. Kosiah's lawyer did try to ask him, prove a point as to whether he was contradicting himself, because Kosiah's lawyer presented to him photos. Whether he could recognize Kosiah of those photos is just the same trend of his cross-examination of the other witnesses. Whether they could really recognize whether the person they were accusing was the very person in court. He said yes, he recognized Kosiah. Initially, the photos, according to Kosiah's lawyer, from what was read out in court today, the photos that were shown him by the investigators in Bern were different photos, and the photos that he talked about were different ones from what he mentioned in court. He said the ones that were shown in Bern were blurry, just like the other witnesses, but he did recognize Kosiah, and Kosiah's lawyer asked him, how did he recognize Kosiah? He said, by the way Kosiah looks, Kosiah's appearance, he has not entirely changed. He stayed tall, he still maintains the same height, his complexion is still the same, his eyes are still the same. So he recognizes Kosiah, but he recognizes Kosiah by the way he talks, he shouts. And of course, he was making reference to those 2 days that Kosiah shouted 6 years, 6 years, referencing the number of years he's been in prison since he was arrested on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity during the First Liberian Civil War. There will be another witness who will testify tomorrow. We are hearing that witness will, of course, talk about the Unimo Tesse, how people were being treated as slaves, were taken, were carrying their fellow human beings like a hammer. That's what we're hearing, that person will testify tomorrow on day 5 of the trial of Alieu Kosiah. Kosiah is the first Liberian to stand trial for war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed during the First Liberian Civil War, and he's been prosecuted under the doctrine of universal jurisdiction. Today, Kosiah looked very calm. He was very calm as those testimonies were being given, as the witness provided his accounts of what he claims happened during the Liberian Civil War. Kosiah was very calm. He was just looking at voluminous documents before him, flipping pages very often, and whispering in the ears of his lawyer. Well, that's it for tonight's coverage of this of the fall of Alieu Kosiah's war crimes trial in Bellinzona, Switzerland. Good night. My name is Anthony Stevens.